Every airline pilot knows one fundamental truth. The passengers are always watching, always listening, always recording. Captain James Mitchell forgot that truth. And today, on Flight 451 from Los Angeles to Tokyo, that mistake is about to cost him everything because the flight attendant he just humiliated in front of 220 passengers, the one he told, "This is my plane, you're nobody here," isn't nobody. She's Sophia Adams, 22 years of experience. And in the next 4 hours, those 220 witnesses are going to decide his fate. One viral video at a time. It's 7:15 p.m. Los Angeles International Airport, Gate 52. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner sits at the gate, its sleek profile silhouetted against the orange sunset. Flight 451 to Tokyo Narita, 11 hours over the Pacific, red-eye flight. Most passengers are business travelers hoping to sleep through the journey and wake up ready for morning meetings in Japan. In the forward galley, Sophia Adams prepares for boarding. 45 years old, auburn hair pulled back professionally, Navy uniform with 22 years of service pins. She's seen everything in 2 decades of flying. Difficult passengers, medical emergencies, system failures. She's handled them all with grace, professionalism, and a calm demeanor that puts nervous flyers at ease. But she's also seen difficult captains, arrogant ones, the type who think the 4 stripes on their shoulders make them gods. The type who forget that flying is teamwork. That safety depends on every crew member feeling empowered to speak up. That respect flows both ways, not just down the hierarchy. Captain James Mitchell is 36 years old, young for a wide-body captain. He upgraded fast, too fast, some say. 8 years from first officer to left seat. He's talented, nobody denies that. Natural pilot skills, smooth landings, good technical knowledge. But talent without maturity is dangerous. Skill without humility breeds disaster. He enters the aircraft with his signature swagger. Designer sunglasses, expensive watch, perfectly styled dark hair. He looks like he belongs in a cologne commercial, not a cockpit. His uniform is immaculate, but there's something performative about it, like he's playing a role rather than simply doing a job. He doesn't greet the cabin crew, doesn't make eye contact, just walks straight to the cockpit like the aisle is his personal runway and everyone else is an inconvenient obstacle. Sophia watches him pass, sees the arrogance in his stride. She's flown with James 3 times before. Each time was difficult. He doesn't listen, doesn't value input, treats flight attendants like waiters in his personal restaurant at 40,000 feet. But airline protocols require professional courtesy regardless of personal feelings. So she maintains her smile, does her job, hopes this flight will be different. It won't be. The pre-flight briefing happens in the galley. James's first officer is Lisa Chen, 32 years old, competent, professional, but quiet. She learned early in her career that challenging James leads nowhere good. Better to stay silent. Do your job. Get through the flight. Flight time is 11 hours, 15 minutes, Lisa briefs the cabin crew. Weather looks good, smooth ride expected, no special passengers, no unaccompanied minors, standard service. James interrupts from the cockpit door. "We're running 12 minutes behind because of a late fuel truck. I want to make up time, so let's keep the boarding efficient, no delays." Sophia speaks up, professional but firm. "Captain, I noticed during the pre-flight walk-around that there's a small hydraulic stain under the port wing, near the flap actuator. Maintenance should probably take a look before we—" "You noticed?" James turns to face her fully, condescending smile already forming. "You noticed a hydraulic stain, and you think you're qualified to assess whether it's a problem?" "I'm not assessing," Sophia says calmly. "I'm reporting an observation. That's part of my job. Safety protocols require that I, as captain, make the determination about aircraft airworthiness, not cabin crew. The plane has been inspected by certified mechanics. It's fine. We're not delaying this flight because you saw a spot of liquid on the ground. Do you know how many things on an aircraft use hydraulic fluid? Do you have any idea what normal seepage looks like versus an actual problem? I'm just suggesting that I know what you're suggesting, and I'm telling you we're fine. Now, unless you have actual safety concerns, real ones, not nervous observations, I'd appreciate it if you'd focus on your job, which is making sure passengers are comfortable, not inspecting my aircraft. The other flight attendants look away, uncomfortable. Lisa Chen, visible through the cockpit door, winces slightly but says nothing. Sophia feels the familiar burn of being dismissed, being patronized, being treated like her 22 years of experience mean nothing because she doesn't have 4 stripes. "Understood, Captain," she says quietly, professional to the end. Even when professionalism isn't returned, boarding begins. Economy passengers first, then premium economy, then business class. The aircraft fills slowly. Sophia greets each passenger with genuine warmth. This is what she loves about the job, the human connection, the ability to make someone's journey better, to calm nervous flyers, to help families, to be the face of hospitality at 40,000 feet. A passenger in 34C stops her, young woman, maybe 25. "Excuse me, I think there's a problem with my seat. The tray table is broken and won't stay closed." Sophia checks. The tray table is indeed damaged. Latch is broken. It keeps falling open. Not a safety issue for takeoff since the seat has armrests, but definitely a comfort issue for an 11-hour flight. And technically, it should be reported. "Let me check if we have another seat available for you," Sophia says warmly. She goes to the galley, pulls up the seat map on the tablet. There's an empty seat in business class. Upgrade possibility. She keys the intercom to the cockpit. "Captain, we have a passenger in 34C with a broken tray table. I have an empty seat in business class, 12A. Request permission to upgrade for passenger comfort." James's voice comes back through the intercom, sharp, annoyed. "We're not upgrading people for broken tray tables. Tell her to deal with it, or she can deplane and take a different flight." Sophia hesitates. The passenger is right there. Probably heard that through the intercom speaker. This could have been a simple upgrade. Good customer service, building brand loyalty. Instead, she returns to the passenger with an apologetic smile. "I'm sorry, the captain has declined the upgrade, but I can make sure you have extra pillows and blankets to compensate for the inconvenience." The young woman's face shows disappointment, but she nods. "Okay, thanks for trying." As Sophia walks away, she hears the woman pull out her phone. Start typing, the universal modern gesture of complaint, social media post. Sophia doesn't blame her. She'd probably do the same. The boarding completes. All 220 passengers seated. The doors close. Ground crew disconnects. The pushback tractor begins moving the 787 away from the gate. In the cockpit, James and Lisa run through checklists. The engines start with that distinctive Dreamliner whine. Everything is proceeding normally, except it's not. Because that hydraulic stain Sophia spotted, it's getting worse. The flap actuator seal is failing, slowly, not catastrophically, but enough that when the flaps extend for takeoff, there's going to be a pressure drop, not enough to abort takeoff, not enough to create immediate danger, but enough to make the flight complicated. The aircraft taxis toward runway 24R. Evening has turned to dusk. The LAX lights glow against the darkening California sky. James is on the radio with ground control, sounding professional and competent because he knows those conversations are recorded. But on the internal intercom, the one passengers can't hear, he's different. "Sophia," his voice comes through sharp and impatient, "I need you to sit down now. We're cleared for takeoff in 2 minutes, and you're still walking around the cabin." "I'm securing the galley, Captain. Standard procedure before takeoff." "I can see you on the camera. You're not securing the galley. You're talking to a passenger. Sit down now." Sophia finishes her conversation. Passenger asking about connecting flight in Tokyo. Simple question, 20-second answer, and moves to her jump seat. Buckles in. But something in James's tone bothers her. There's an edge there, an aggression that goes beyond normal pre-flight stress. The 787 lines up on runway 24R, 11 hours to Tokyo. 220 passengers, one arrogant captain, one experienced flight attendant who's starting to worry that this flight is going to be one for the books. She has no idea how right she is. But the real problem hasn't even started yet. The engines spool up to takeoff thrust. The aircraft accelerates down the runway. V1, rotate, the nose lifts, gear up, positive rate, flaps retract. And as they do, that hydraulic seal fails just a little bit more. Pressure drops by 6% within acceptable parameters, but trending wrong. The computer notices, generates a caution message. HYDSYS1 press low. Not a warning, just a caution. Something to monitor, something to note in the logbook after landing, but James doesn't like caution messages, especially ones that suggest Sophia might have been right about that hydraulic stain. So he does what arrogant pilots do. He dismisses it. It's within limits, he tells Lisa. We'll monitor it, not worth turning back over. Should we notify the cabin crew? Lisa asks. Standard procedure for any hydraulic, it's a caution. Not a warning. No need to alarm anyone. Let's just fly the aircraft. Lisa nods. Stays quiet, does her job, monitors the systems, but she makes a mental note. If that pressure drops any further, she's speaking up. Captain or no captain. In the cabin, Sophia unbuckles from her jump seat. Begins the first service. The flight is barely 20 minutes old and already she can feel the tension. The passengers sense it too. Something is off. The crew seems stressed. The captain's voice on the PA was clipped, short, lacking the warm professionalism that passengers expect. At 35,000 feet over the dark Pacific Ocean with California fading behind them, Flight 451 is just beginning its journey. But the journey James Mitchell is on, the one from arrogance to accountability, is about to accelerate in ways he never imagined. Because in 4 hours, when that hydraulic pressure drops to critical levels, and James has to make decisions he's not prepared for, 220 passengers are going to witness something. They're going to see a captain panic. They're going to hear him blame his crew. They're going to watch him dismiss safety concerns until those concerns become emergencies. And they're going to record every single second. If you've ever been dismissed by someone in authority, if you've ever been told your concerns don't matter, if you've ever watched someone's arrogance lead to crisis, you know what's coming. You know how this story ends, not with a crash, but with something worse for James Mitchell, accountability. 3 hours into the flight, the cabin is dark. Most passengers are sleeping or trying to. The business class passengers have their lie-flat seats reclined. Economy passengers are doing that uncomfortable airplane sleep, heads tilted at painful angles, necks supporting positions the human spine was never designed for. Sophia moves through the cabin quietly, checking on passengers, bringing water to those who are awake, adjusting blankets. This is the part of the job she loves, the quiet service, the care, the ability to make someone's journey a little better. But she can't stop thinking about that hydraulic system. She's been flying long enough to know what normal sounds like, what normal feels like. And something about this aircraft feels off. Nothing she can quantify, just instinct. 22 years of instinct that says something isn't quite right. In the cockpit, James and Lisa are watching the hydraulic pressure. It's been dropping slowly, steadily, not dramatically, just consistently, from 100% to 94%, from 94% to 89%, from 89% to 83%, still within acceptable parameters, still technically safe, but trending in the wrong direction. We should consider turning back, Lisa says quietly. Professional, not challenging, just stating an option. If this continues, we'll need to divert to Hawaii. Better to go back to LAX where we have full maintenance facilities. We're 3 hours in, James says dismissively. Turning back means rerouting, fuel dumping, passenger delays, hotel costs for a hydraulic system that's still operating within limits. No, we continue. But if it continues to drop, if it becomes an actual problem, we'll deal with it then. Right now, it's a monitoring situation, not a decision situation. Lisa goes quiet again. But she doesn't agree. She knows the rule in aviation. Solve problems early when you have options, not late when you don't. Waiting until something becomes critical is how accidents happen. But she's not the captain. She doesn't have the final authority. What she doesn't know is that in the cabin, a passenger in seat 14A is a retired 787 pilot, 63 years old. Flew the Dreamliner for United for 15 years before retiring last year. He's been listening to the engine sounds, feeling the aircraft's behavior, and he knows something is wrong. He presses the call button. Sophia responds within 30 seconds. "Can I help you?" she asks with her professional smile. "I'm a retired pilot," the man says quietly. Not alarming, just informative. Boeing 787 flew this exact aircraft type for 15 years. I don't want to cause concern, but I'm hearing something off in the hydraulic system. There's a slight pressure fluctuation in the flight control responses. Have you heard anything from the cockpit? Sophia's stomach tightens. A retired pilot confirming her instincts. This isn't paranoia. This is real. "I'll check with the captain," she says. "Thank you for letting me know." She goes to the intercom. Calls the cockpit. James answers immediately. "What?" "Captain, I have a passenger in 14A who's a retired 787 pilot. He's concerned about hydraulic system sounds. He says he's hearing pressure fluctuations." There's a pause. Then James's voice comes back. Cold, annoyed, loud enough that nearby passengers can hear through the intercom speaker. "Tell him that I appreciate his concern, but I'm the captain of this aircraft. I have Lisa Chen, an experienced first officer monitoring systems. We have real-time data that he doesn't have access to. Everything is within parameters, and unless he wants to come up here and take over, he should go back to sleep and let me do my job." The intercom clicks off. Sophia stands there. The passenger in 14A heard every word. So did the passengers in rows 13, 14, and 15. Some are now awake, alert, concerned. They just heard their captain dismiss an experienced pilot's safety concern with sarcasm and arrogance. The passenger in 14A pulls out his phone, opens Twitter, starts typing. His followers, many of them pilots, are about to hear about this. Sophia returns to the galley. Her heart is pounding. This is getting worse. The hydraulic issue is real. A qualified observer confirmed it, and the captain just publicly dismissed the concern. This violates every principle of crew resource management, every lesson learned from accidents where crews failed to communicate, every protocol designed to prevent exactly this kind of situation. She makes a decision. She goes to the galley computer, opens the cabin report system, types a formal safety concern, time stamps it, documents the hydraulic observation, the retired pilot's concern, and the captain's dismissive response. This goes into the airline's safety database, permanent record, evidence if things go wrong. And right then, something unexpected happened. The hydraulic pressure drops to 67%, still technically within operating parameters, but now approaching the yellow zone. The zone where you start making plans, where you start considering options, where you absolutely do not dismiss concerns. An alarm chimes in the cockpit, not an emergency alarm, a caution. HYDSYS1 press low, flashing yellow on the EICAS display. Lisa's hands move immediately to the hydraulic system page, analyzing, calculating. "Captain, we're at 67% and dropping. I strongly recommend we divert to Hawaii. We're 2 hours from Honolulu. If we wait any longer, we might not have enough hydraulic pressure to safely—" "I heard you the first time," James snaps. "We're not diverting over a yellow caution. This system has triple redundancy. Even if System 1 fails completely, we have System 2 and System 3. We have backup hydraulic pumps. We have electric backup controls. This aircraft is designed to fly with multiple hydraulic failures. We're fine. But procedure recommends—" "I know what procedure recommends. And as captain, I'm making the judgment that we have adequate systems to continue. Now focus on your instruments and let me make the operational decisions." Lisa's face flushes, but she says nothing more. She's been overruled, publicly dismissed, in front of the cockpit voice recorder that's documenting every word. In the cabin, passengers are starting to notice something's wrong. The flight attendants are moving more urgently, having quiet conversations. There's tension in their body language. And some passengers are beginning to do what modern passengers do best. They're pulling out their phones. Airplane Wi-Fi is slow but functional. They can't stream video, but they can text. They can post to social media. They can send messages to friends and family on the ground. And what they're posting is concerning. Pilot just yelled at flight attendant over intercom. Dismissed safety concern from retired pilot. Something wrong with this flight. Hashtag flight 451, hashtag LAX, hashtag Tokyo. Our plane has hydraulic problems and the captain is refusing to divert. Retired pilot in my row is worried. I'm scared. Hashtag flight 451. Captain on my flight to Tokyo is being aggressive with crew. Hydraulic system alarms going off. We're over middle of Pacific. This doesn't feel safe. The tweets start spreading, slowly at first, then faster as aviation enthusiasts pick them up, then aviation safety advocates, then news aggregators. Flight 451 is becoming a story in real time, and James Mitchell has no idea. 4 hours into the flight, halfway across the Pacific, the point of no return literally and figuratively. They're equidistant from California and Hawaii now. Turning back is the same distance as going forward, the worst possible position to be in when making safety decisions. The hydraulic pressure drops to 52%. Now it's in the yellow zone officially. System 1 is failing, not failed completely, but failing. System 2 is compensating. But that means System 2 is working harder, which means it might fail faster. This is how cascading system failures begin. One problem creates stress on backup systems, which then fail, which creates more stress. Lisa's voice is firm now. Beyond professional courtesy, this is serious. Captain, we are now below the recommended operating threshold for System 1. We should declare an emergency and divert to Honolulu. We have 55 minutes to Honolulu versus 4 hours to Tokyo. This is not a recommendation anymore. This is procedure. James's face is red, anger mixed with stress, because deep down, he knows Lisa is right. He knows he should have diverted an hour ago, but admitting that now means admitting he made a mistake, means admitting that Sophia's concern was valid, that the retired pilot was correct, that his judgment was wrong, and James Mitchell doesn't admit mistakes. We're continuing to Tokyo, he says through clenched teeth. System 2 is fine. System 3 is fine. We have redundancy. We have options. I'm not diverting and causing a massive passenger delay and airline cost over a single hydraulic system failure. It's not about cost, Lisa starts. I said we're continuing, James shouts. Actually shouts in the cockpit. Lisa flinches. The outburst is shocking, unprofessional, dangerous, and it's recorded on the cockpit voice recorder, on the flight data recorder, permanent evidence of a captain losing control. But more importantly, it was loud enough that Sophia heard it through the cockpit door. She was standing nearby, about to bring coffee. She heard every word, and several passengers nearby heard it too. What would you do if you heard your pilot shouting? If you knew systems were failing and the captain was refusing to divert, if you felt the situation spiraling out of control and you had no power to stop it? The passengers are doing what they can. They're documenting, they're recording, they're bearing witness. Because in the modern age, when authority fails, public accountability is the only tool left. A passenger in business class, seat 8C, is a tech journalist. She has a large social media following. She's been watching this situation develop, and she makes a decision. She starts a thread on Twitter. Thread: I'm on Flight 451 LAX to Tokyo. Our plane has hydraulic system failures. Retired 787 pilot on board raised concerns. Captain dismissed them publicly. Now captain is yelling in cockpit. Crew looks terrified. We're in middle of Pacific. I'm scared. She continues posting updates every few minutes, screenshots of flight tracking apps showing their position, audio clips of cockpit announcements, photos of the cabin crew's worried faces. It's raw, it's real, it's going viral. Within 20 minutes, aviation safety advocates are retweeting, news organizations are monitoring. The airline's social media team is waking up executives in middle of night. Flight 451 has become a trending topic, and James Mitchell, confident in his cockpit, monitoring his systems, convinced he's making the right decisions, has no idea that 220 passengers have already decided his fate. The trial is happening in real time at 35,000 feet. The jury is scrolling through their phones, and the verdict won't be kind. 5 hours into flight, Tokyo is still 300 miles away. System 1 hydraulic pressure is at 31%, officially in the amber zone. System 2 is at 86%, but dropping slowly. The aircraft is becoming harder to control. Not dangerous yet, but getting there. And in seat 34C, the young woman with the broken tray table is recording everything she's been documenting since boarding. The rude captain, the dismissed safety concerns, the escalating crisis. She has 47 minutes of video on her phone, and the moment they land, if they land safely, it's all going online. Flight 451 is no longer just an aircraft crossing the Pacific. It's a viral moment waiting to happen, a case study in how arrogance, dismissiveness, and failure to listen can destroy a career faster than any system failure can crash a plane. James Mitchell is about to learn what every modern professional fears. In the age of smartphones and social media, there's no such thing as a private mistake. When 220 people witness your failure, anonymity is impossible. Accountability is inevitable. And sometimes justice comes not from official investigations or company reviews. Sometimes it comes from the court of public opinion, where the judge is YouTube, the jury is Twitter, and the sentence is permanent. 6 hours and 12 minutes into the flight, Tokyo Narita Airport is 150 miles away. System 1 hydraulic pressure is at 18%. System 2 is at 71%. System 3, the final backup, is showing strain at 92%. The 787 is designed to fly with one system, maybe even land with one system. But 3 degraded systems, that's getting into territory James should never have let them reach. Tokyo approach Flight 451, we need to declare a pan-pan, Lisa says into the radio. Pan-pan is one step below emergency, an urgency call. She's making the call that James should have made 3 hours ago. Flight 451, Tokyo approach, roger your pan-pan. State nature of urgency. We have multiple hydraulic system degradation. System 1 at 18%, System 2 at 71%, System 3 at 92%. Requesting priority handling and long runway. We'll need emergency equipment standing by. Roger, Flight 451, you're cleared direct to Narita. Runway 34R is available, 4,000 meters. Emergency services will be in position. James's hands are gripping the controls so tightly his knuckles are white. His face is pale now. The arrogance is gone, replaced by fear, because he's realizing what Lisa has known for 2 hours. They might not make it. Not they might crash, but they might lose enough control authority that landing becomes very, very difficult. In the cabin, Sophia has briefed the crew. Emergency landing procedures. They've moved through the aircraft quietly, identifying able-bodied passengers who can help in an evacuation. They've reviewed exit procedures. They've prepared without alarming, but passengers aren't stupid. They know something is seriously wrong. The retired pilot in 14A catches Sophia's eye as she passes, nods once. Respectful, acknowledging. His tweet thread has been retweeted 12,000 times. Aviation experts are analyzing, asking questions. The hashtag Flight 451 is trending in the United States and Japan. The tech journalist in 8C is doing a live thread. Over 50,000 people are following in real time. She's become the de facto correspondent for an event that's happening at 35,000 feet where traditional media can't reach. We're about to land. Pilot finally declared emergency. 3 hours too late. If we make it safely, questions must be asked. If we don't, well, you'll know. Hashtag Flight 451. The passenger in 34C, the one with the broken tray table, has her phone ready. She's going to record the landing. Whatever happens, it will be documented. Because this generation doesn't experience crisis passively. They witness, they record, they share. James begins the approach to Narita. His hands are shaking slightly. Lisa is reading the emergency landing checklist. They're following procedures now. Finally, but 3 hours too late. 3 hours where they could have diverted safely to Hawaii. 3 hours where they chose pride over prudence. Flight attendants, prepare cabin for landing, James announces over PA. His voice is different now. No arrogance, just fear poorly hidden. Sophia and her crew move efficiently. Heads down, stay down. They're preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. Passengers are bracing. Phones are recording. The world is watching through pixels and Wi-Fi. The runway appears. Emergency vehicles are lined up. Fire trucks, ambulances, the full response. Media helicopters are hovering nearby. Word has spread that this flight is in trouble. James fights the controls. The hydraulic pressure is making the aircraft sluggish, not unresponsive. Just heavier, like the aircraft is fighting him. The approach is sloppy, not dangerous, but not smooth. Speed is good, Lisa calls out. Sink rate acceptable, 500 feet, 300, 100. The wheels touch down, hard, harder than any of those 220 passengers have ever experienced. The aircraft bounces once, settles, reverse thrust engaged, brakes applied. The 787 decelerates rapidly, too rapidly. Passengers are thrown forward against seatbelts. Overhead bins pop open, bags fall. Someone screams, but they're down, they're stopped, they're safe, physically safe. James Mitchell, however, is not safe at all, not anymore. The aircraft taxis to a remote stand. Emergency crews follow. The passengers disembark via stairs. No jet bridge. They walk across the tarmac where reporters with telephoto lenses are already photographing them, where television cameras are broadcasting live, where Flight 451 is transitioning from a Twitter trend to an international news story. And as passengers walk down those stairs, they're pulling out their phones, they're posting, they're sharing. 47 passengers recorded video, 63 took photos, 85 posted to social media in real time. The evidence is overwhelming, damning, permanent. The tech journalist's thread goes mega viral, 150,000 retweets. News organizations are quoting it. Aviation safety experts are analyzing it. The FAA is watching it. The airline's board of directors is panicking over it. The passenger in 34C uploads her 47-minute video to YouTube titled, "Captain Refuses Safety Concerns, Flight 451 Near Miss." It's raw, unedited, pure documentation. Within 6 hours, it has 2.3 million views. Within 24 hours, it's at 8 million. Sophia Adams doesn't say anything to media. She doesn't post on social media. She doesn't need to. She filed her safety report. She did her job. She tried to raise concerns. She was dismissed, and now 220 witnesses are telling that story for her. 72 hours later, the airline's corporate headquarters emergency board meeting. They have 3 problems on their hands. Problem 1, the safety record flight 451 didn't crash, but it came closer than it should have. The NTSB has opened an investigation. The cockpit voice recorder is damning. James Mitchell dismissed safety concerns, overruled his first officer, refused to divert when procedures clearly indicated he should, then shouted in the cockpit when challenged. That's not a single mistake. That's a pattern of poor judgment. Problem 2, the public relations disaster. You can manage a safety incident. You can't manage 8 million YouTube views. The airline's reputation has taken a hit it will take years to recover from. Hashtag Flight 451 is now shorthand for arrogant pilot who doesn't listen. Aviation forums are calling it a textbook case of what not to do. Parents are asking airlines, how do we know our pilot isn't another James Mitchell? Problem 3. The legal exposure lawyers are already circling. Passengers are filing complaints. The FAA is investigating possible regulatory violations. The airline could face millions in fines. Insurance premiums are going up. And James Mitchell, who they defended initially, has become a massive liability. The decision is easy. Unanimous. Captain James Mitchell is terminated, effective immediately, not suspended, not reassigned, fired. His pilot's license isn't revoked. The FAA will handle that separately, but his career with this airline is over. The airline's public statement is carefully crafted. Following a comprehensive review of Flight 451, we have concluded that Captain Mitchell's decisions did not meet our standards for safety, professionalism, and crew resource management. We have terminated his employment. We are also conducting a full review of our pilot training programs to ensure this situation does not occur again. We thank our cabin crew, especially senior flight attendant Sophia Adams, for their professionalism during this incident. We apologize to our passengers for this experience. That statement goes viral too, because it names Sophia, acknowledges her, thanks her publicly for doing what James Mitchell wouldn't, putting safety above ego. 6 months later, Sophia Adams is interviewed for an aviation safety documentary. She's sitting in her uniform, calm, professional, dignified as always. What was going through your mind when Captain Mitchell dismissed your concerns? The interviewer asks. I was concerned, Sophia says carefully, but I also trusted my training. I filed a safety report. I documented everything. I knew that regardless of what happened in the air, there would be accountability on the ground. I've been flying 22 years. I know that the system works. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not fast, but it works. What do you want people to learn from this? That everyone's voice matters in aviation. A captain's experience is valuable, but so is a first officer's, so is a flight attendant's, so is a passenger's. When retired pilots raise concerns, they should be heard. When flight attendants report observations, they should be taken seriously. Safety isn't about hierarchy, it's about everyone working together. And what happened to Captain Mitchell? He's no longer flying. I don't know what he's doing now. I hope he's learned something. I hope he's found humility, because aviation requires it. The sky doesn't care about your ego. It only cares whether you're competent, whether you listen, and whether you put safety above pride. James Mitchell is working in insurance sales now. Ground job, decent pay, but every day he drives to work, he sees aircraft overhead, sees the contrails, hears the engines, and feels the loss like a physical ache. He can't fly commercially anymore. His reputation is destroyed. Google his name and the first 50 results are about Flight 451. Arrogant pilot, refused to listen, viral video. He applied to 3 airlines using his real name. All 3 rejected him immediately. He tried to rebuild, changed his name legally, applied to a cargo carrier with his new name. Got through 2 interviews, then someone recognized his face from the YouTube video. The job offer was withdrawn. He could fly privately maybe, small planes, flight instruction, but even that requires references, requires people vouching for you, and nobody from his past is willing to do that, because associating with James Mitchell is career poison. You don't defend the indefensible. The worst part? He still doesn't fully understand what he did wrong. He knows he's supposed to feel guilty. He knows he made mistakes. But in his mind, the systems were within parameters. He made judgment calls. Captains make judgment calls. That's what captains do. What he doesn't understand, what men like him never understand, is that being technically correct doesn't matter when you're ethically wrong. The hydraulic systems were degraded, but within limits. True, but dismissing safety concerns, overruling crew input, shouting in the cockpit, treating people with contempt, those aren't technical failures. Those are character failures. And character failures are harder to fix than any mechanical problem. Lisa Chen is a captain now. She upgraded 6 months after Flight 451. The airline fast-tracked her promotion, partially as apology for what she endured. Partially because she demonstrated exactly the qualities they want in command: judgment, communication, humility. Her first flight as captain, she conducted the most thorough crew briefing anyone had ever seen. She asked every crew member, flight attendants included, if they had any concerns, any observations, anything at all. She made it clear that everyone's voice mattered, that safety was a team effort. And when a flight attendant mentioned a small hydraulic drip during walk-around, Lisa called maintenance, delayed the flight 30 minutes, found a legitimate problem, fixed it. Passengers complained about the delay, but they didn't die, and complaints fade. Deaths don't. The retired pilot from Seat 14A, his name is Robert Chen, became an aviation safety advocate. He gives talks at pilot conferences. He's written articles about Flight 451 as a case study. He's helped train thousands of pilots on the importance of crew resource management. His message is simple: authority without humility kills, pride without wisdom destroys, and the person sitting next to you, whether it's your first officer, your flight attendant, or a passenger in row 14, might know something you don't. Listen, always listen. The tech journalist who live tweeted the crisis won a journalism award for her coverage. Her thread was cited as an example of citizen journalism at its best, real-time reporting from inside an event that traditional media couldn't reach. She's now an aviation safety correspondent, consulting with airlines, helping them understand how public perception works in the social media age. And the young woman in 34C, the one with the broken tray table whose upgrade was denied, her video has been watched 14 million times. It's used in aviation training programs as an example of what not to do. She received a formal apology from the airline, a full refund, and enough frequent flyer miles to fly first class for 5 years. But more importantly, she became a voice for passenger rights. She advocates now for better airline accountability, for clearer safety reporting systems, for empowering passengers to speak up when they see problems. Present day, Tokyo Narita Airport. A 787 sits at the gate. Passengers are boarding for a flight to Los Angeles. Sophia Adams is the senior flight attendant. She's done this route hundreds of times since Flight 451. The captain comes to the galley for the pre-flight briefing. Young woman, maybe 35, 4 stripes, confident but not arrogant. Anyone have any concerns? The captain asks, looking each crew member in the eye. Anything you observed during pre-flight? Anything at all? One of the younger flight attendants raises her hand tentatively. I think maybe I saw a small fluid spot under the wing. I'm not sure if it's important. The captain smiles, not condescending, grateful. Show me. They walk out together, captain and flight attendant, equal participants in safety. They examine the spot, call maintenance, find a minor hydraulic leak, fix it. Delay the flight 25 minutes. Some passengers grumble. Some complain on social media about the delay. But they don't trend. They don't go viral because delayed flights are forgettable. But Captain James Mitchell and Flight 451? That's unforgettable. That's the story that changed an industry. That's the incident that reminded everyone, pilots, airlines, passengers, that we're all in this together. That safety requires humility. That expertise comes from unexpected places. That the person you dismiss today might be the person who would have saved you tomorrow. And most importantly, that in the modern age, arrogance has an audience, dismissiveness has witnesses, and accountability is inevitable because 220 passengers saw what happened on Flight 451. They recorded it, they shared it, they made sure the world knew, and the world didn't forget, won't forget, can't forget. Captain James Mitchell learned the hardest lesson a pilot can learn. The sky is vast, but the internet is bigger, and when you fail in front of hundreds, thousands, millions of witnesses, there's no place to hide, no way to escape, no second chance to make a first impression. Sophia Adams returned to work 2 weeks after Flight 451. Same job, same airline, same professionalism, but something changed. Other pilots treat her differently now, with respect, with deference, because she's the flight attendant who was right, who stood her ground, who filed the report that saved lives and ended a career that should have ended. She doesn't talk about it much, doesn't give many interviews, doesn't seek attention. She just does her job, serves passengers, watches for safety issues, speaks up when she sees problems, because that's what professionals do, not for glory, not for recognition, but because it's right. And every time a captain asks her any concerns, she knows her voice matters, because 220 witnesses proved it matters, because 8 million YouTube views proved it matters, because James Mitchell's terminated career proved that dismissing the person who sees the problem is the fastest way to become the problem. In aviation, as in life, the same truth applies. Never underestimate the quiet professional. Never dismiss the person who raises concerns. Never let your ego write checks your skills can't cash. Because somewhere, someone is watching, someone is recording, someone is bearing witness. And justice, in the modern age, doesn't always come from regulators or boards or investigations. Sometimes it comes from 220 passengers with smartphones and Wi-Fi. Sometimes it comes from the truth going viral. Sometimes it comes from accountability happening in real time at 35,000 feet with the whole world watching. Captain James Mitchell forgot that truth, and it cost him everything, but everyone else learned it. And the skies are safer for it.